Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. This is a show where we talk about comic books, movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am your host, Sean Man of Steel McGahee, and with me today is my own personal Lois Lane, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee.
Hello.
Lisa, thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited to talk about Batman v Superman.
Yes, kids. Of course, I knew when I was writing the show notes for this week, it was pretty much pointless because we were going to pretty much just talk about one thing the entire time. So as of you know, most of you know, or should know, if you don't know, then you've been living in a box. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice came out this last weekend. I have seen it twice already. Lisa saw it with me the other day. And we're going to sit here, we're going to dissect it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to break it down, and maybe get into some possible things that might have an impact on Warner Brothers' plans for future DC comic properties. So starting off, let's just go start on the broad spectrum there. We'll go to the surface and then we'll dig deeper and deeper. So just starting off, Lisa, what was your overall impression of the film?
Overall, I liked it. I didn't like it as well as I like the Marvel films. Not that it's a competition, but
although most people think it is.
But I did like it. I didn't love it. The length didn't bother me. I was afraid that the 2.5 hours was going to feel like 2.5 hours, and it didn't feel like 2.5 hours to me. I was entertained. Mm-hmm. So overall, I liked it.
Okay. Now, of course, compared to the first film in the DC Cinematic Universe, Man of Steel, do you think it helped further the story? Do you feel like it was better? I mean, how do you think, this is the second film in the DC Cinematic Universe. Do you feel like they're going in the right direction?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you, I wasn't a huge fan of Man of Steel. Again, I mean, same kind of thing for me. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I would say I liked Batman v Superman a little bit better than Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. But that could just be because I'm a little more critical of the Superman stuff, and this one had less Superman.
That's true. No, that's kind of an issue I had with it as well.
But, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was... I don't know that I like the way the DC universe is unfolding necessarily, but I don't... I mean, I will go to see all the movies, and I will probably enjoy them on some level. I just won't love them. On some level. I won't love them. They won't be ones where I can't wait for them to come out on video because I want to watch them again. They won't be ones where I want to go back to the theater and see them, 3-4 times. The DC universe is not unfolding that way for me.
It's true. Well, for me, I have, of course, been talking about this movie forever, and I have been very weary of this movie, mainly because of my dislike of Man of Steel. Again, I don't like the way it went. I don't think Zack Snyder was the right guy to helm this project. And to see that he's, again, directing Batman v Superman, I was not happy about that. So, and then the casting news started coming out. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. There were good things and bad things. I was on the Ben Affleck train. If you go back and look at some of my old blogs, I was on that train from the original beginning, so don't tell me I'm a bandwagon, okay? Don't tell me that. So
I support you with that. You were completely on his side.
Exactly. So yes, there we go.
I.
So in that regards, I was very mixed about the film. Walking down, sitting in that seat, I was crossing my fingers, crossing my toes. I wanted it to be a good film. Walking out of it, that first screening, I was not happy at all. Mm-hmm. By the time they got to the end fight sequence, which, by the way, guys, if you didn't notice, this is all spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie by now, turn us off, wait, come back to it after you've seen the movie. But judging by box office numbers, I'm assuming most of America has seen it by now. Mm-hmm. But by the time they got to the Doomsday fight, I did not care. I mean, even before that, when they got to the Batman v Superman fight, I didn't care because they didn't take enough care with the characters, I felt. So I walked out of that first screening. My rating, I gave it a D+, which I think was probably about what I gave Man of Steel. I think I gave Man of Steel less than that. So then I went home. I thought about it for a while. A couple of days later, you and I went and saw it again. And now that I saw it once, I saw more of the broad spectrum of the entire film, what kind of more each character was involved with. So I saw at the beginning of the film how it was going to end at the end, and I actually liked it a little better. I'm moving my rating up to a C minus. Whether it'll get to a C, I don't know because
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
Especially now that we're dissecting it, we're finding all.
But I'm the more I thought about what I want to talk about here, the more I'm going to talk about all the negative stuff. So
we can start with positive. I think we should start with positive.
The thing, okay, but I'm not done yet.
I know. I'm just saying.
So I lost my train of thought now.
Oh,
See what you did?
Sorry.
See what you did? You interrupted me.
You were talking about a C minus.
C minus. I don't think it's a C. But here we go. Okay, I'm back on the track. So one thing I am excited for, though, is to see the Blu-ray, the ultimate cut of the film, because this film was supposed to be 3 hours long, and I will credit Zack Snyder in this, despite how I feel about Zack Snyder. He said in interviews his cut of the film is 3 hours long, and the Warner Brothers said no, we're not going to do that. We got to cut it down. So a lot of those character development moments that led up to the fights at the end, I felt were what was sacrificed. And in the film itself, the huge problem with this film is editing. Mm-hmm. It is edited so poorly. It's just scenes are jumping over everywhere. You can't seem to follow things through. I remember there was one scene where Bruce is about to fight Superman. He's standing in Wayne Manor. It's all burnt down or whatever for some reason. And he's talking to Alfred, and Alfred's saying it's suicide. And Bruce is like, well, this is the only thing that I might do that actually matters. And then he walks off. Now, what should have come after that scene, I felt like, was that training montage scene. Instead, that montage scene was like several minutes before that scene. I felt like it would have had more of an impact if we would have had that scene directly after it. And then he goes directly from there to fight Superman. The editing was the worst part of the film, I think. That's my big beef with it. Mm-hmm. So,
that's your biggest beef with it?
Yes, I think, and it's like that, I think if things were, again, I think the 3 hour cut with more to dive into would have helped it as well. But if the editing would have done a little more cleanly, it would have helped it a lot too. Because I felt like it was all scattered. I felt we were jumping from character to character, not really getting to know each character enough, or not really diving into character. Again, I know you are weary of longer movies. 2.5 hours these days is not a long movie. It's not. Most films at least are 2.5, 2:15, something like that. So to say it was a long movie, I don't believe that at all. But it does go by fast.
At some point, I am gonna Google that and actually look that up because you keep
you're
saying that most movies are that long these days. I don't agree.
Any good movie is at least.
I think. That is ridiculous! I can't believe we just said that out loud.
I think it is, honestly. I think any decent movie is going to be at least 2 hours long. That's what I think.
Anyway.
All right. So going into the positives first. Mm-hmm. What did you like about this film specifically? What were your takeaways?
I really liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah.
I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, I don't necessarily like what they did with Batman. I think they made him kind of stupid.
We talked about this, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was that article we read the other day that it makes sense. I mean, really, looking for the White Portuguese, why didn't you just fucking Google it? I mean, come on.
It's a ship called the White Portuguese,
Yeah,
you think someone would be able to find that pretty easy.
You know what I mean? It just seems like that he kind of came off kind of like a bleh. But, I mean, I think he did a good job.
He himself did a good job, yes, he did.
He was certainly buffed up for the role.
Yeah, I think they said he gained...
Man, he was huge.
I know he gained at least about 50 pounds for the role.
Yeah, he was huge.
Uh-huh. I mean, I think it was the actual training montage, what he was actually doing, maybe.
I know, for real. He was buff.
He was actually doing all that stuff, I bet.
But so I really liked him. I liked Amy Adams. I think she's a great Lois Lane.
Yeah, the turnovers for Man of Steel, Henry Cavill.
The thing about Henry Cavill, though, he's beautiful Superman. He's a beautiful Superman. But I felt like in this movie, they made him kind of like a mopey, lovesick puppy.
Well, they kind of did, too. Yes, and that's...
I mean, he was just kind of like Mr. Mopey Pants.
We're staying on positives here. Staying on positives here. We'll get to
We'll
get to Mopey Man of Steel here in a minute, okay?
The positive thing about Superman is that he was also totally ripped and he had several things on his shirt, so that was good.
And that made you happy?
Yes, that made me happy.
Okay.
But I really liked Lois Lane. I did like Batman. But
how did you feel about Jeremy Irons as Alfred?
I liked him, actually. I liked how they made him kind of It was sort of like the Morgan Freeman character in
Dark Knight?
the Dark Knight ones, where he was like the scientific, like the R&D,
which feeds into the stupid Batman. But go ahead.
You know, so I mean, I kind of like that they gave Alfred. They kind of combined those two characters into one.
Okay.
Like Alfred's like the butler, but he's also the one who helps him do all the science.
Which has always been true. That's true. I just the
other Batman movies.
Keep going.
The other Batman movies did not portray Alfred in that way. Alfred was like
he was just more of a father.
The father
figure,
butler man. Yeah. But I mean, I did like Jeremy. I mean, Jeremy Irons is
I know.
a great actor.
As soon as they cast Jeremy Irons in the role, I was like, okay, it's never a mistake to recruit talent, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, I thought he was good. But I mean, really, that's
okay. That's all your positives.
That's my positives.
Okay. So
and it was entertaining. I was entertained.
For my positives, the fight sequence. I like, despite what I feel about putting Doomsday in this film and everything how we got to those conclusions. I like the Batman v Superman fight. I like the Batman, taking on the Russians. I like the Doomsday fight between Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Those action sequences were great, but no one can ever fault Zack Snyder for not making a good action movie. 300, a good action movie. Sucker Punch, some good action. It's the way he tells the story or his lack thereof that's always been the issue. Yeah,
I totally agree with you with that. The fight sequences were cool, but again, the story was...
It's all the story. Yeah. Now, just going through some numbers real quick just to see where we're at. As of yesterday, Batman v Superman on Rotten Tomatoes had a 29% fresh rating.
That's the critic
rating. For
the
critic rating, yes. Mm-hmm. And then the audience rating was 73%. So... audiences seem to like it a little bit better than critics.
A little bit. They like it a lot better than critics.
All right, fair enough. So,
how does that compare to Man of Steel? Do you know?
I don't know. Actually, I think Man of Steel...
You keep talking, I'll look it up.
The critic rating, actually, I think for Man of Steel, I know was higher. And I think the audience rating was a little better than that, I believe.
I'll look it up.
So going on to the actual numbers, of course, this weekend, it made $166 million... and $420 million worldwide, making $254 overseas, which is the largest international opening of a superhero film ever. But it's the second highest opening for Warner Brothers, next to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Of course.
I bet that one has a better freaking critic rating. I bet it does
too. Yes, actually, I was listening to John Campea podcast on the way home, and he was talking about that, how when it's a movie like that where it's made over 150 million in like its first weekend, it's usually at least a 70% critic rating a lot of times. So let's see here. Now the thing about it is, because going to the money aspect of it all, Warner Brothers spent a lot of money actually on this film. Let's see here. The budget of the film was $250 million, with another $150 to $160 million spent on marketing the film as well, not on top of all the merchandising and stuff like that. So analysts estimate the film needs to rake in about $800 million worldwide to break even. It's halfway there with about $424 million. Now, one thing I would say, I'm going to maybe try to throw out here. You got the Man of Steel rating?
For Man of Steel. So right now on Rotten Tomatoes, Batman v Superman, the critic rating is up to 28.
Oh, really?
And the viewer, everyone else rating, I think, is 74 or 72.
So
it went one direction.
A couple 1%, yeah.
Man of Steel, the critic rating was 56%, and the audience score is 76%. Yeah,
so people liked it a little better.
A little bit. Well, critics liked it better, but the audience liked it about the same.
About the same, yeah. I got you. So, I'm going to throw this question out here. If this movie doesn't hit $1 billion, would you call it a failure?
Well, I mean, I think it depends. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're talking in terms of failure meaning made your money back,
then that's all the studios care about.
That is all studios care about. So, I mean, I would consider something that people don't like to be a failure, whether it makes money or not. I mean, like Transformers, whatever the most recent one is.
The fourth one, yes.
That movie, nobody liked it. But it made a ton of money. But I would still consider it a failure because nobody liked it. It was crap.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, too, is it's going to be about... Okay, nobody liked Transformers 4. That's great. That means people have to not go out and see Transformers 5.
But everyone keeps hoping it's going to be better
and they'll go see it because it's Transformers.
Right. So I mean, I think that I don't think this is, even if this doesn't make its money back, I don't think it's hurting the DC universe because people still want to see. They're gonna keep going, hoping this is the one that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's John Schnepp was talking about that too on Movie Talk as well. But in regards to Transformers as well, a lot of it has to do with Hollywood nowadays, where they're really promoting the international market. Because what helped that Transformers film reach $1 billion wasn't domestically. Domestically, as the Transformers movies came out, domestically it kept going down in numbers, but kept going up internationally. So Transformers 5 will probably do great internationally, probably won't do so well domestically, but I think then the Warner Brothers executives are going to see that and they're going to be like, well, screw domestic, let's just make the film so people overseas will see it, you know? And that's what I think. But I think with making $1 billion, it's a movie called Batman v Superman, two of the biggest brands worldwide, you know? I mean, the fact that it didn't hit 200 million in its first week, I feel like is a little bit of a slub. I mean, because you got all those critic ratings too, and people are like, well, it made 170 million, you know, it's critic proof. And I'm like, no. If it was critic proof, it would have made 200 plus.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, at least.
Well, I mean, and I told you, when we went and saw it, what did we see it, Sunday?
Sunday, yes.
Yeah, we went and saw it Sunday, Easter, so it's a holiday. People are off, people don't have any, you know, by the evening on Sunday, people don't have anything to do.
Well, it was Easter, so I'll give it
I know,
that
whatever,
time.
I'm just saying, you know, on holidays, movie theaters usually are pretty busy because people who don't celebrate the holidays or people who want, you know, like you always said your family always went to movies on Christmas, which I always thought was insane, but apparently a lot of people do it. So I was surprised that opening weekend and the theater wasn't even full.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, I mean, we went and saw Star Wars like 3 weeks out. The theater was still full.
Was it 3 weeks out?
Whatever.
No, we saw like 2 months later, and there was still a couple people. It was like halfway full.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just surprised me that opening weekend, it still wasn't a full theater.
I think we're not going to have any debate that Star Wars was definitely a better film.
Well, Star Wars was definitely a better film. But anyway, yeah, that's not what we're discussing here.
Okay, so let's jump off this cliff, hold hands, and just get right into it here.
The bad parts.
I'm going to go right into it.
Number one bad thing.
Jesse Eisenberg.
As
Lex Luthor
was terrible.
Was terrible.
Terrible.
And it's not that I don't like Jesse Eisenberg. It's just that the way he portrayed Lex Luthor. You know, Lex, in every portrayal, whether it be comic books, TV, whatever, he's always been diabolical, but still smart.
Logical,
This one was just totally insane.
He was. He just played him crazy.
Even as like when people saw the trailers, they were hoping that kind of wacky public persona, whatever, was just an act, but it wasn't.
He's freaking nuts.
Totally insane.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
And then, of course, everyone say, well, why did he want to kill Superman? Why did he do all this stuff?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't really make any sense.
Let's just jump right into the entire plot of the movie.
Okay, go for it.
Because there's really not... That was one of my biggest faults with it also, was the storyline just didn't really make sense.
So let's start at the beginning, okay? So, starting at the beginning, you had your kind of introduction to Batman. You had the Bruce Wayne, or the Wayne death retold to you, and then you had Bruce Wayne in Metropolis during the events of Man of Steel, and he sees all the destruction.
Well, and it's not just he sees the destruction. His building.
Yeah, his building comes down.
And so his employees, people that work for him. And this is what they were trying to build.
Yeah.
The people that work for him.
His family.
Their building fell while they were in it. You know, and he tries to save who he can, but he can't, you know, anyway. So he's blaming Superman for that.
Yes.
For all the destruction in Metropolis. It's Superman's fault.
Like that scene, really, because, you know, you do... In a film like Man of Steel, you see Zod and Superman fighting, and you know they're causing destruction. You know this. But then to see it on that ground level, as Ben Affleck is going through the city and everything is falling down around him, from that perspective, I like the movie started off that way. Now, in regards to the retelling of his origin, the Wayne death, I'm like, do we really need to see that?
I know. I don't even know why they put that in. Everybody knows that story.
Because later on, he did it, you know, where right before he was about ready to kill Superman, they pretty much showed the exact same thing again. And I'm like, couldn't they have just not shown it at the beginning and done it right there, I believe? I mean, I think that would have been something better. I don't think we needed that at the beginning because guess what? Everyone knows Superman's story. It's been told a dozen times in the last 20 years, where they're going back to the Christopher Nolan movies, animated series. The show Gotham did it. Gosh, the original Batman. I mean, it's just,
we get it.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to retell it again just to reintroduce Batman. I think it was kind of pointless. So
well, and while that scene at the beginning with not that scene with his parents dying, but the scene in Metropolis was powerful. You know, and it supposedly was supposed to set up why he did not like Superman. However, I don't understand how anybody, if Superman had not fought Zod, the entire world would have been destroyed. So, like, holding a grudge because he destroyed that city, it's the same thing with my one thing I'm worried about with the Avengers. Like, trying to hold the Avengers accountable for the destruction of New York when they were saving the entire planet from those horrible... Like, I don't get it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you be mad at Superman? Sure, he destroyed the city, yes. He saved the world.
Yes, that's true. And that's why they had that monument for him.
Right, exactly.
But there are people who, guess what? Bad stuff happened. Lives were lost. They need someone to blame. They need
but
someone
Batman,
to
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
that's the start of
that's gonna
treating
go,
him like he's stupid.
Okay, well, let's just get into that. Yes, exactly. I think while Ben Affleck was a great actor and I think played a good Batman, the actual character itself was ridiculous, okay? Because Batman is the world's greatest detective, okay? So his logic of holding Superman accountable doesn't make sense in a Batman sense. Why would anybody, and that's what I don't get about the whole film, why is everyone questioning the what Superman can do or can't do? I get it.
They're questioning his motives, which
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense.
And that, like with the Capitol explosion, okay? He was there when the building exploded because they were trying to get to him. So because he was there, people think he's involved in it.
Or they were saying, why didn't he stop it?
No, because he didn't know it.
Because, right.
But then going to the Africa thing, people were shot with bullets, and they're like,
Must have been Superman. Who doesn't use guns?
Exactly. Why are they blaming Superman for that?
It doesn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. And like, this is all supposed to fuel Batman's rage, and I'm just like, okay, I'd like to think myself as a more sensible person. And yes, it is a movie, and yes, I'm getting the full spectrum here. But as a sensible person, and let alone if I was the world's greatest detective, wouldn't I have more sense to be like, well, this person was at every one of these scenes, so he's the problem.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense at all. And then the notes killed me, okay? Where Lex is sending both Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne these notes to get them fueled up to fight each other. So he sends Clark these notes with Batman's captors or people that he's caught, and it says truth, justice, executor, you know, kind of getting fueled up for that. And then he sends Bruce these notes with these clippings. They're like, you let your family die, to get them fueled up. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne, their first thing wouldn't be like, I'm gonna go get them. They're gonna be like, who sent these? Who sent these?
Exactly.
What are their motives for sending these to me? What are they trying to accomplish? Both of them are capable enough characters to not just be like toddlers on a tantrum. That's exactly what it was. It was like, you know, it's like Nora, okay? She goes from just being like, la 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 la, ah! You know?
Yeah.
It's not, no, that's not how it gets. So by the time we got to that Batman-Superman fight, I was just like, why are they fighting?
It didn't make any sense.
What's going on?
Well, especially because the way that Lex gets Superman to go fight Batman is the most ridiculous, insane scenario I've ever... I mean, you're going to kidnap his mom, and instead of him just going and saving his mom, he's going to go over, like all Mr. Movie Pants, to Lois and be like, Lois, I have to go either recruit Batman or I have to kill him.
To save my mother. No. Oh, no.
What am I going to do?
You had an hour, dude.
Bye, Lois.
And guess what? Gotham is right across the bay, okay?
Yeah, which is also ridiculous.
You can fly around the Earth several times in an hour at least. You can go through and search for your mom, the entire city of Gotham.
Yeah. And, I mean, I just, that whole thing. And then he, like, goes to Batman and he's all like, I don't want to fight you, man. You know, it's like, then don't.
Yeah, exactly.
But then he throws them all over the place.
Well, yeah, that first mistake is that he said that first word, and then after, you know, Batman kind of shoots at him or whatever, then he pushes him, and then it's like, okay, I get it, you know, Batman's pissed. But then they just go straight into the fight. Superman, I feel like, should be more up until the point when he shoots him with that kryptonite gas, Superman should have been like, let's not fight, let's not fight, let's not fight. But instead of just like, let's not fight, push, let's fight.
Yeah, it was just silly. Well, and then Lois Lane in that whole fight was ridiculous. Like,
okay, yeah, so we're gonna go into that, right? All right, so Lois Lane, at the end of that fight sequence, Batman wins. Let's just call it Batman wins.
Yeah, Batman
wins. Which
wins.
is fine. Okay, and he's about ready to.
He cheated though.
Well, Superman has one weakness, and he used it, and that works. Okay.
Except it's not. It's like Superman said it himself. If he had wanted to kill Batman, he would have done it right at the beginning. In that
first shove, he would have
exactly. He would, and he said it. If I wanted you dead, I would have killed you already. So Batman only won because Superman wasn't trying to win.
You hear that, Batman fans? You hear that, Batman fans?
And because Batman cheated.
Take that, you Batman fans! Ha! We're kind of biased, I think, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
We're both bigger Superman fans than Batman fans, so. Anyway, so he's standing there with a kryptonite spear about to stab Superman when Lois shows up, of course, because that's where the plot needs her to be, right? Just like in Man of Steel, she's on a government helicarrier or a government plane, military plane, and she's a reporter and she's saving the world because that's just where the plot needs her to be. Of course. So anyway, and then Superman's like, Martha, and he's like, why did you say Martha? And then, of course, Lois has to explain that that's his mother's name. So Batman's like, oh, your mom's named Martha too?
So now we're not going to fight.
We're going to be best friends. Yay! It was ridiculous. It needed to be a battle of morals. And one thing that I wanted to see from this film as well, one thing they shouldn't have, while they were focusing so much on the stories inside the film, like the Capitol explosion and the Africa incident, they should have still focused on Metropolis, because Metropolis was, I'm going to say it looked worse than a 9/11. Yeah, way worse than 9/11. How long did it take New York to recover from that, Mm-hmm. And this was like at least 5-10 times worse.
Yeah. Okay?
People are still cleaning up that mess, and I think it still should be topical with the people as well, and that should have been still the focus, because that's what Bruce Wayne's mad about. Mm-hmm. That's what they set up at the beginning of the film, is Bruce Wayne is mad because these gods are fighting and have no care for the little people below them. That's what he's supposed to be mad about. Mm-hmm. But then they get to the fight, and what's he mad about again? I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Batman is mad about towards the end of the film. I don't know.
I can't figure out why Batman and Superman both let Lex play them.
Exactly. They're too...
And he, of course, had no idea what his plan was even more ridiculous than the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense.
It's just a lot of faults. Again, it's one of those things where I want to see that ultimate cut just to see if there's more to it. Mm-hmm. Then I feel like I can really give an assessment of just how bad Zack Snyder fucked up.
Yeah, because I don't know.
It was not good at all.
Yeah.
And then let's go into Doomsday. So Lex takes Zod's body. He's able to take Zod's fingerprints and get into the ship and learn, all the Kryptonian knowledge that it holds, which, by the way, is a plot of Superman Returns, anyway, and Superman 2, in that regard. But he learns the knowledge of the Kryptonians, and he learns that of this little experiment where he can take Zod and turn him into a beast that's unkillable. Why
would he do that?
Not alone that, why did he give him his blood? Why did he cut his hand and give him his blood?
I'm imagining that story will come out in the extended. It has to be.
I don't know. I mean, what's the point? So you take this body, you put him in this cocoon, and he turns into a monster. I get that. Why did he cut himself and give him his blood?
I don't know. I'm sure that'll be explained. I don't understand why he felt he needed to create Doomsday when he already thought his plan to get Batman and Superman to kill each other was working. He timed it so that Doomsday would be ready at the same time as their fight. So, if he thought that
unless he really didn't think they were going to do it.
If he spent all this time getting Batman and Superman to want to fight each other, and then he arranged it so that he almost killed Lois. He tried to kill Superman's mom to get them to fight at that moment. He allowed Batman to get the kryptonite so he could make those things. and then he unleashed Doomsday at the same time. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like redundant, right?
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about how ridiculous his portrayal is. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
It's just like, oh, it was like cuckoo, like a Jack Nicholson of One Flew Off the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, it was like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
And here's Lex.
It was just nuts.
It was horrible. Yes. Yeah. Doomsday. Okay, so I think here's my leap with Doomsday. Although when I leap, I know I'm not going to land anywhere in this, but. With Doomsday, we find out, of course, at the end of the film that Lex knows about the coming darkness, or dark side, as us comic book readers or knowledge of comic books know. Dark side is coming. Somehow Lex is his minion, and that he has been charged with getting rid of Superman before Darkseid can come, because I think Darkseid sees Superman as a threat to his plan, which, of course, he usually is in the comic books. And with Doomsday, I felt like maybe that was not really a backup plan, but just an instrument of destruction to be like, it's like a bulldozer clearing the path, to be like, so it makes it that much easier for when Darkseid comes, less resistance, because they're so busy fighting this monster that he tears apart the world, and Darkseid comes and he's just like, well, that was easy. That's my guess.
I don't know.
And that's another thing too is, okay, he makes this monster to defeat Superman. When this monster comes out of the cocoon, what's the first thing he does?
He freaking tried to kill
Lex. And if Superman wasn't there,
Lex
would be a puddle on the ceiling.
It was just ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, and then of course we skipped over the most obvious weird thing was how Lois knew that she needed to go back and fetch the spear.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting to the beginning of the Doomsday fight here. But yes.
Sorry.
So anyway, so with Lois, of course, after she, gets...
well, no. First, she takes the spear.
And throws it in the water.
Trying to hide it. Which, if you really wanted... really, you're just going to throw it in a puddle of water?
The safe thing would be to keep it herself and then take it somewhere where she can, really get rid of it.
Yeah, why would she just, in this abandoned building, drop it down under a flooded part of the building?
Maybe she thought that building was going to be destroyed. But then, of course, when people cleaned up the building, they'd find it. Anyway, that's stupid. So then she throws it, trying to get rid of it so it'll never cause harm to her hubby ever again. And then she's standing outside watching Doomsday tear apart Gotham at this point, because Batman led him to Gotham, which, of course, it's Gotham, so no one's going to mind if, they destroy that place at all. Mm-hmm. And she's very distant. We see that she's very distant from the battle. But then all of a sudden she's like, I have to get the spear to stop him.
Right, number one, why did she know that?
She didn't even know. She might be able to see a monster, but how does she know how to kill that monster? How does she know that's the body of Zod, so to speak, and that this kryptonite will kill it?
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
At all.
There had to have been something missing that explained it to her.
Exactly. Well, again, let's wait and see. It's ultimate. But we're talking just of the theatrical cut. Mm-hmm. Nope. Nothing there to explain it.
Yeah.
Flaw. Failed.
Yeah.
Totally just
and then
horrible.
The next step with the spear is...
Go for it.
Why in the world did Superman take it and go to kill Doomsday when Wonder Woman, who was present, can also fly and isn't weakened by kryptonite? She was fucking there.
Because that wouldn't serve the plot.
All he had to do
was
call her over, have Lois give her the spear, and have her fly it and stab Doomsday.
I think we've established this film, the plot, and common sense of the characters don't make sense.
Yeah, because killing Superman in this movie doesn't make any sense.
Spoiler!
We already talked about this.
I know, this is like the spoiler. But anyway, okay, so let's get into the death of Superman then. He goes, I get it. Having Doomsday in this film, I didn't want from the get-go. Because Doomsday is such a big character in the DC lore because of him killing Superman. The death of Superman is probably the most pivotal storyline in DC Comics history, if not of all comic history just about. Starting with the very first appearance of Superman in Action Comics #1. So I knew eventually they were going to get to the death of Superman. getting to the death of Superman in the second film leads me to believe exactly what I was afraid of when I heard about all this stuff with the introduction of the Justice League and Wonder Woman coming in and Doomsday coming in. They're cramming everything at the very beginning. They're taking their best storylines, their, the good stuff, and putting it all at the beginning. So, with Superman dying, you're taking a character we've only known for
one
movie, maybe you could argue 1.5. I wouldn't, because I feel like he got shoved out of this movie for Batman, which again, another thing I was afraid of, and killing him. We didn't care about this character. I'm sorry, I didn't care at all. Mainly because I knew he was coming back. Everyone knew he was coming back alive.
Well, yeah, there was no way they were going to keep him dead. The second movie in their cinematic universe.
And guess what?
Where they're supposed to be getting ready for the Justice League.
And in the Justice League promotional art they've been releasing all over online, Superman's at the center of it.
Right, how do you start the DC universe knowing that this is the dawn of justice? This movie is supposed to jumpstart the Justice League without Superman? It doesn't make any freaking sense. Of course he's not dead. So why even kill him?
They just tried, because they thought it was actually going to make some kind of emotional, impact.
I guess. It didn't, though, because
It didn't at all.
Well, and it didn't make sense either how, he sent her the ring at his house.
Well, you didn't want her to see because he lived with her.
Right, but that doesn't make any sense.
I hid your ring, so I don't see how hard it'd be.
No, I just mean it was like he knew she was going to be there.
No, he just knew it was safe where she'd never find it.
I guess so.
It's not like he can't just whip over to a house and grab the ring right before dinner.
That is probably true.
So, in that regards, there's that. But yeah, killing Superman was, I think, a waste in this film. Because guess what? You've killed Superman using Doomsday. Where do you go from there? Anytime we can never, once he comes back to life, which, of course, we know he's coming back in Justice League. That's, anyone who doesn't know that is just stupid. We know he's coming back to life. What do you do with the character after that?
Well, and they killed him and Clark.
And Clark, yes. And that's the great thing, too, because in the newspaper, in the Daily Planet, it says Clark Kent died. I'm like, okay, they had his funeral. Mm-hmm. They buried his body.
Yeah, Superman coming back, everyone would be like, oh, yay, he's not dead. But, now Clark surfaces again, and they're going to be like, I was at your funeral, dude.
Yeah, exactly. What, are you trying to play a prank on us, or
doesn't make
what?
Any sense.
It's like he was trying to do a tax evasion, is what it is.
I guess.
Whoever he was in debt.
Whoever wrote the script for this movie, or whoever was on the original storyboarding, I just don't understand what they were thinking. It doesn't make any sense. The whole thing doesn't really make any sense.
And again, I think it comes down to, for me, it's all about the emotional impact and the foresight, I didn't care about this character. I didn't care that he died. And as soon as he went in and stuck that thing in his gut, and I knew he was going to die, I'm like, well, he's coming back, so... Mm-hmm. There's no stakes. No stakes.
Yeah, the only character that I was upset about their death was the senator.
See, I saw her as a waste.
I liked her.
She was such a waste of a character.
I think they could have used her better.
They definitely could have used her better.
But I liked what she did. And I thought the whole thing with the scene was good.
Yeah, but I remember somebody was saying "What's the deal with the peach tea or whatever?" I'm like, did you not just see the couple scenes ahead of it where she was talking about her grandma's peach tea? And that's somebody online. I was like, you obviously had paid no attention to the film then, even though it was a complete mess, but at least that part made sense to me.
Yeah, I kind of liked her. I was upset when he blew up when Lex blew up.
I think I didn't like her because all her scenes she was with Lex. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That's maybe why I didn't like her. So all right, let me side note on that. And since everyone, no matter how they feel about the film, agrees Jesse Eisenberg was not a good Lex Luthor or didn't portray a good Lex Luthor, do you think they're still going to keep him in, or do they switch out actors?
I don't think they'll switch out actors.
Do you think
they will? I think they'll
you think
keep
they're
him.
just going to keep Lex Luthor? They're going to keep this character?
I think they
and
will.
They're just going to push forward with him?
Maybe they'll make him a little less crazy if they listen to people's...
People don't get...
do movies often. The thing is, I don't know why you think they're going to change it. What movie out there, or even in TV shows, just because people don't like one of the actors, the studio obviously had a vision for that character. Jesse Eisenberg was who they wanted. He did what they wanted him to. Just because we didn't like it, do you think they're going to change their whole plan for that character?
Well, okay. Do you realize Jar Jar Binks was barely in episode 2?
You think that at the onset of that they expected Jar Jar to be a huge character in all three?
He was kind of little out. I bet if people would have loved that character, I guarantee you Jar Jar Binks would have been in the entire prequel.
Oh, I agree, but I don't think that his role got smaller because people didn't like him. I don't think so. I think that this is different though. This is Lex.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm worried about. Is because this is the Lex we're given. Nobody likes him. But guess what? We're stuck with it now.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it's just going to leave a bad taste in our mouths from here till what? 2025, 2030, whatever?
But I don't think... But the thing is, again, the problem isn't Jesse Eisenberg, I don't think. I think the problem was...
the character itself.
The character. It was the direction that they gave him
and that's what the character is.
So
now.
Changing out Jesse Eisenberg, I don't think it's going to make any difference if they still tell the next guy to play it the same way. But you can't also, all of a sudden then, what are they going to do in the next movie? Tell Jesse Eisenberg, okay, now we were wrong. We want you to play Lex like this. And then Lex is going to be a whole different kind of character?
Prison changes a man.
I guess. I mean, that would be the only explanation. Because you know what I'm saying? Like,
as thin as some of these plot lines were, they would do something like that.
It could. Because, changing out the actor... I don't think would help if it was the same. If they wanted him to act the same way, but keeping the actor and changing what they want Lex to do, I don't think would make any difference because that would be too weird. I just think they just buried a hole here with Lex, and they're not going to be able to use him to his full extent.
Okay, so let's go into something a little we haven't even talked about yet, is the dream sequences and really the introduction of the Justice League. So there's 3 separate dream sequences. I'll go to the middle ones. There's the sequence with Bruce walking to his parents' grave with flowers. We see the graves, the bat pops out. Pointless.
Wow.
What was the point of that? Okay.
Both of the dream sequences he had that involved the bats were silly.
So it was like, okay, so his parents, in this dream sequence, we took away that his parents are dead and that he has an obsession with bats.
Yeah, both of them. There was 2 dream sequences that were like that.
Well, the first one...
The first one was the one where he was a kid at their funeral, and he fell and the bats...
I was getting to that, yeah. At the beginning...
There were 2 that were involving bats, and they were both stupid.
Well, I'm thinking about, but like, everything that was in that second one where he was at the gravesite...
As an adult.
And the man-bat pops out.
Yes.
His parents are dead. He has an obsession with bats. Didn't we just establish that in the very first scene of the entire movie?
But that thing is, that was also a dream.
Yeah. Well, the bats were a dream.
When the bats carried him up. Right, so it's 2 dream sequences that he has that are about...
Telling us the exact same thing.
His parents being dead and him having a thing with bats.
Yeah, so
silly,
there's that.
Wasted time.
The other one, I don't know, the one where Clark was up in the mountains and seeing his dad. That one, I liked what was said in it, but I didn't like the context. I liked the story he told. I get the moral of it, what he's trying to teach Clark. But if we remember from Man of Steel... Jonathan Kent didn't want Clark to be a hero. He didn't want him out in the world or whatever. But in this sequence, he does. But again, it's all in Clark's subconscious anyway, so maybe he's just going crazy. And that sequence, how did you feel about it?
I wouldn't necessarily even consider that a dream sequence. I think that was just...
His dad's not alive, babe.
No, I know that. But he wasn't, like, he was really there. It wasn't like he was in bed. Right, it wasn't a dream sequence. He was just imagining he was having a conversation with his dad.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, so going into the big one was Batman in, like, the desert area. Looks like he's got a Kryptonian bomb because he's trying to stop Superman. He gets captured. Superman pulls off his mask, he fries the people beside him, and then he kills Batman. And then from there, we go into him waking up and seeing someone kind of like giving him a warning, so to speak. We know that is Ezra Miller, who is playing the Flash. But going back to the desert, you weren't a fan of that, right?
No, well, number one, I had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
I knew it was not real. I knew he was dreaming because it didn't make any sense. But Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then Superman shows up and he starts killing things, and I was all like, what the hell is this?
I'm gonna take the reins on this one, okay? Because I get a sense, after I thought about it, I get a sense of what exactly was going on. So it all stems for me from the Flash. That Flash part where, of course, Flash, he's fast enough, he can travel through time, he can travel through parallel dimensions, and he was traveling back to try to warn Bruce about something that is going to happen. He was talking about Lois Lane being the key. He was talking about how he's afraid he went too far back. In that sense, I thought that was really cool because that really shows that, guess what, to put that sequence in there, they have an idea of what's to come, not only in the next couple films, but perhaps even a few films after that. So that got me kind of excited, one of the few bright points in this movie. As far as the desert scene, there was kind of, you had an army of Batman has his army, it looked like, and Superman had his army, where it was them against each other. In the comic book or graphic novel series Injustice, Gods Among Us, Batman or Superman kills the Joker and kind of divides the superhero line where some superheroes side with Superman saying, okay, it's time we start taking these guys out so they're no longer able to hurt anybody else. Batman takes some superheroes and says, no, we can't cross that line as well. And it's like a DC Civil War is pretty much what it is what's going on. Now, what kind of sets that off is the fact that the Joker kills Lois and everyone at the Daily Planet, and that's what drives Superman to kill the Joker. And in that scene where Superman pulls off Batman's mask, he said, she was everything to me. She was my world. And I'm assuming he's talking about Lois. Because, of course, later on, right before Superman goes to kill Doomsday, he's like, this is my world. You are my world. Mm-hmm. Again, feeds into that whole mopey Edward Cullen Superman.
Totally.
And but yeah, I think they're playing off of that Injustice storyline where maybe one of the possible futures is that Superman and Batman eventually divide, and they divide not only each other, where it's Batman versus Superman, but it's his army against another army. And then of course you have the mixture of the Omega symbol and the parademons, which are to conclude that Darkseid comes into the mix as well. But that's all that. So the thing is it a dream or is it more of a premonition? Is kind of what we're left to believe. I'm looking more on the side of a premonition, just because of the Flash is included in it, and he's kind of go back trying to warn Bruce, my bad, of what's to come. And if it is the Flash warning them, I get it. But if that premonition is brought about by, say, a higher power, such as Darkseid, or some higher power like the New Gods, trying to warn Bruce about Darkseid, why do they go to the only freaking regular guy on the entire Justice League? Okay? If someone wanted to warn someone on Earth about stopping Darkseid, don't you think they'd come to Clark instead of Bruce about stopping this intergalactic dictator who's about to come? I mean, Bruce Wayne is a guy. Flash, more powerful. Aquaman, more powerful. Wonder Woman, more powerful. Why do you go to the only human on the entire squad to warn him? I get why Flash would want to warn him, but if the whole dream is coming from somebody else, why go to the only human? Doesn't make sense to me in that regard.
The whole sequence didn't make sense to me.
So going off of that, Justice League introduction. I just said I liked the Flash where he came back in time.
I liked all the introductions.
I did not like Cyborg.
You already weren't going to like Cyborg.
You don't
from
know
the
that.
beginning, you've been like, Cyborg.
Well, because growing up, Cyborg is a Teen Titan. He's not a Justice Leaguer.
Right, but I'm just saying you were not going to like
him. But look at the video sequence. It looked like it came out of the CW show. It didn't look like it wasn't up to par with the Aquaman video or even the Flash video.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little sketchy on the Flash thing too, because he's got the long hair and the little goatee, and maybe it's because Barry Allen has never looked like that, and whether it be the TV show or the comics, he's always been the clean-cut kid, because it looks like, again, I think they're going to make him more mopey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on.
This all leads me, though, to one of my other problems with the Zack Snyder DC universe, is Batman is dark.
Yes.
It's dark. It's a dark character. It's a dark world. The Justice League is not like that.
No, Batman is different.
Superman, his stuff is not dark. The Flash, not dark.
Not dark. They like to crack jokes.
Right. So, like, making the DC universe so dark and gloomy, like, it makes sense for Batman movies. Like, I totally get it. But I don't understand how they can make the whole cinematic universe this tone.
Because they're so hell-bent on being different from Marvel. They don't want to even think that people would say, well, they're just copying what Marvel is doing. I think they're so, from the very get, hell-bent on not trying to make that comparison, which I don't get, because I always make the comparison, oh, they don't want to be like Marvel. Well, Marvel makes good movies, so they're saying you don't want to make good movies, right?
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense because they're actually straying from what the characters, like, their innate...
Their essence of the characters.
Exactly.
Which,
like, I just can't fathom how they're going to fit the Flash into this universe.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I think it's going to... That was already an uphill battle because of the TV show, I think. Mm-hmm. Because everyone loves the TV show. Everyone loves Grant Gustin as the Flash. That was already an uphill battle. So it's one of the things as well. Again, same thing going up with Marvel. The only way they feel like they can do it is by doing the complete opposite.
Yeah,
and the complete opposite is what people like, is what people hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't mind... I liked introducing the Justice League, setting that up. I think the film actually did that quite well.
Yeah.
At the end, Bruce and Diana, or Wonder Woman, are like, we have to find these other people because we're going to need them. I thought that was a great way to end it, because that really is Dawn of Justice. Mm-hmm. The next, you can tell the Justice League is about those two going to go find these people. I get it.
The only thing, though, is why did Lex have all that information?
Because he's rich and powerful and, has been hunting people like that for quite some time. I didn't question about that. Lex is one of those guys, he's going to be interested in that, much like he has interest in Superman and Wonder Woman, and even in Batman. He's interested in these people who are extraordinary, because he's not extraordinary. That's what makes him so mad. Mm-hmm. So good. We talked about this. Let's go to Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Gal Gadot, very big worry of mine. I didn't hate her, but I didn't really like her either. I'm on the fence.
I think we don't have... I didn't hate her.
We didn't get a big enough sample size.
Exactly. I think the Wonder Woman movie is really going to tell us a lot. Because she didn't really have enough part in the movie.
She had the action sequences were great. Mm-hmm. But no one has ever doubted that she won't look great as Wonder Woman. The question has always been, can she act good enough to pull off Wonder Woman? And there are a few lines she did fine. Mm-hmm. And then there are a few lines I felt were stiff as well. Mm-hmm. So while I'm not over the moon about it, I'm not going to hate on her as much.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I think I'm almost kind of where I was when the movie started, where it's like, I'm going to hope for the best with Wonder Woman, but not hold my breath in that regards. But I do like the set up of Wonder Woman. The picture, love that. The part where she talked about how 100 years ago I walked away from humanity. These two things got me excited to see what happened in Wonder Woman. Got me excited for that film. So I'm anxious to see it now, just based off story. Whether it'll be a good film or not, that's still up in the air. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to take some time to see.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start wrapping up here. So I'm going to go, I got just a few things to go down just real quick that I made notes on. Number one, in the extended cut, so the photographer that was with Lois Lane at the beginning, that was played by your favorite character from Smallville. Remember that guy? Remember the actor played Lex's brother in season 7 of Smallville?
Oh, yeah.
That was him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was him.
I totally recognized him.
Yeah, exactly. So
he was Julian.
So
he played Julian.
Yeah, played Julian. So Zack Snyder has come out and said that was Jimmy Olsen.
Oh.
And that in the extended cut, you get a bigger sample size of that character in the desert with Lois. And he actually says in the extended cut, he's Jimmy Olsen. Which I thought was weird. But he dies, right? Yes. So I'm kind of upset about that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a side note here. I looked up how you pronounce her name, Wonder Woman.
It's Gadot, right?
It's Gadot.
Gadot?
Gadot.
How do people read this?
It's not Gadot.
Gadot. That people say that, yes.
It's not Gadot. It's Gadot.
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 I like
She's
that.
Israeli.
Israeli, yes.
She was born in Israel. So it's Gal.
Gal
It's probably
Gadot.
not Gal. It's probably pronounced differently too. But
Gall.
it's Gadot.
Goo.
Gadot.
Goo.
Anyway, that's been bothering me for like a really long time. So.
I know, right?
So yeah, so Jimmy Olsen being dead, that doesn't sound very
I don't
good
like that at all because Jimmy Olsen's such a staple of the Superman universe and also the DC universe because he's featured in a lot of DC stories outside of just Superman as well. Jimmy Olsen is that everyman as well too. He's the guy who we see Superman through his eyes. We see sometimes the DC universe entirely through his eyes because he is the everyman. So to take the everyman out, not sitting too well with me.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Okay.
I didn't know it was supposed to be Jimmy Olsen though. I thought it was
I didn't know
just
it
some
either.
guy.
Nobody knew until he actually.
Because it was allegedly a CIA operative.
Okay. All right. So this one, you and I had a nice discussion or argument about, I guess, in the car. And another reason I want to see the 3-hour cut. Who was that woman in Bruce's bed?
Oh, I don't understand why this matters to you.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying, okay? Yes, he has to bring up the persona of being a billionaire playboy. Exactly. He likes to flirt with women. He likes to be seen flirting with women and taking women on dates. Batman barely even is interested in women, okay? Unless they're eccentric like Wonder Woman or Catwoman or Talia al Ghul. He could care less about women, actually.
You really don't think he wants to have sex once in a while?
I think he wants... His whole energy is his anger, okay? I'm not saying he's gay or anything. I'm saying that his whole set of mind is about his mission.
I'm saying even psychopaths and crazy people and people that are very determined still want to have sex sometimes.
They have some kinky sex usually,
I'm just saying. Considering how many other things that were popped into this movie didn't matter, I don't understand why that woman being in bed next to him makes any difference.
We didn't see her go to bed with him. We didn't see her leave with him. She was just there. She was like the bed itself. It was just there. Could have been a dead body for all we know, okay? He could have killed some woman, and that's how he gets his rocks off, because he's so crazy, because he likes to kill people. Yes, this Batman likes to kill people. Despite what Christopher Nolan gave us 3 movies about how a Batman tries at all costs not to kill people, this Batman kills hundreds of people.
Apparently, that's the Zack Snyder universe. I mean, in the first Superman movie,
Superman kills people
somebody.
too, yes.
So,
and that's another thing too that I had real issues with. This is one thing I really wanted to see was Clark had to have remorse about killing Zod. I wanted him to draw that, to be part of his origin story, for him to draw that line in the sand and say, okay, no more killing, no more. I won't do that anymore. But here he's like, I have to kill Batman.
Yeah.
It's horrible. These characters. Okay, so I think I've covered the woman in the bed.
I think that you're ridiculous.
We can go for that. Perry White the Dick. Perry White was pretty douchey in this. I mean, he was always just yelling. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. He was just yelling. In the Man of Steel, at least we saw the character. We saw his gentler side. We see he actually cared about Lois and Jenny and all that. This, he was just like, no, he was just yelling all the time. I didn't get a sense of like, if I had not seen Man of Steel and just saw this character, I'd be like, this guy's an asshole. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it at all. I think Lawrence Fishburne is a better actor than that, and he should have been used better than that. But then again, this movie had a lot of characters. It was jammed full of a lot of stuff, and he just got pushed to the side, which is horrible. Going back, another note I had was Superman saves everyone. Why is everyone so mad at him? Yeah. You see a montage of him saving so many people. Why are people mad at him? I don't get it. Mm-mm. I don't get it. Alfred's snarkiness. If there were any jokes in this film, they all came from Alfred. Was there any other jokes besides Alfred?
Nope.
And when we went and saw that movie, Alfred was giving those jokes, and most of them, I was listening. Nobody got them.
Well, they weren't really jokes.
They were jokes, but they were sad jokes is what it was.
He was being snarky, yeah.
Exactly.
But they weren't really jokes. They weren't funny.
But if the audience was going to laugh at anything, it would be that.
Right,
and
but
they felt silent.
They still weren't funny.
Exactly, which is another problem.
There was not one
with the
thing
film.
in this movie that made me want to smile or laugh.
That's true. It made me want to cry, kind of, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't get that. Does LexCorp make military weapons?
I don't know what LexCorp does.
I mean, he plays basketball, he rides a motorcycle, he experiments on aliens. What does he do?
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't get it. He makes military weapons maybe that are experimental, that are easy to trace, perhaps.
LexCorp does a little bit of everything, apparently.
Wayne Manor destroyed.
Yeah, hopefully they go into that.
I think that's why the standalone Batman film, we're going to get a prequel as opposed to a film that takes place after this, because I think the big question is, how did Wayne Manor burn down, and what happened to Robin? I mean, those who read the comics or know the comics probably can speculate what happened to Robin, and his name's Jared Leto. But I think you want to see that story, and again, that's going to stick with the darker tone, I think, with this universe as well, as getting another very depressing Batman film, and I think that's going to lead to. But see, do you think we'll just get one Batman film?
I have no idea. They haven't even said they're going to make one.
They're going to make one.
I know. I'm just saying.
But like, if you make a movie where Wayne Manor burns down, Robin dies, and that's when he gives up the cape, and that sets it up for Batman v Superman. I don't see that. I mean, I guess you could do it and then make all the other Batman films post Justice League or whatever.
I don't have any idea.
But
I can't even begin to fathom what
what they're thinking. After seeing this, yes, I agree with that. But I do want to see,
because I mean, that's the thing. Like, the big picture overall, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. The movies themselves are okay. The problems that you and I both have with them are the stories. It's like they chose like the most horrible stories to start a cinematic universe. Like you said from the beginning with Man of Steel. Why start with a film where he had to kill Zod? Like, why start with that?
Yeah.
And then same thing with this one. Like, why start by killing Superman? You know, it just like...
They got nowhere to go, I think.
Exactly. It's like they're starting where they should be ending. This is not the beginning.
Yeah, I've always said about Man of Steel, why do you start with Superman taking out an entire army of Supermen? Who is he's gonna face now that's gonna be worse than that? Mm-hmm. I don't get it. So yeah, I think again it goes into the fact that they're so intent on catching up with Marvel. It's like they're blowing their load way too early, and then they got nothing left for 5-10 years from now. The Batcave, I feel like that was the nicest.
Pretty cool.
But my issue was, it's Alfred and Bruce. Did they really build that fancy looking Batcave all by themselves? I mean, I like the Tim Burton one because really it was just the Batcave was just a computer console and a place where he could hold his vehicles. And the one in Dark Knight or whatever, that was a warehouse. Mm-hmm. And then the second Batcave in Dark Knight Rises, it wasn't that fancy. It was a little fancy, but given that it's just Bruce and Alfred building this stuff in there, I felt like it was a little too fancy. Mm-hmm. I think I didn't get that.
I didn't really think about that, but
Lex's assistant.
Yeah, like what the hell? Like from the beginning, I was trying to figure out like if she was something special. Because they like allude to her a lot, like show her a lot, but then he just freaking leaves her to die.
Oh yeah, he does.
What a douchebag.
Well, he is crazy, but I'm like,
I know.
It's true because their character is, I believe it's Mercy, and Mercy has always been a long-time assistant for Lex, and she has kind of had affection for him, but a lot of times he doesn't reciprocate that affection. Affection.
Not infection.
Affection.
Maybe he did give her an infection.
Yes, he gave her an infection of the lungs called a bomb. But yeah, that seems to kind of douchey. I'm like, oh wow, I mean your most trusted assistant who probably does a lot for you, who is very useful to you, and you're just gonna let her die? That just feeds into the fact that this guy is just out of his freaking mind. Mm-hmm. The oldest lie in America, Senator. They use that line twice.
Twice, yeah.
Once is fine. Twice, come on, man. Mm-hmm. That's like he's got to say something. What can he say? Oh, I know. Let's say the exact same thing over. That was him. And the last thing I had on my notes was the casket. Who's in the casket that they buried in Washington? We know that we saw Clark Kent's body in the Smallville casket.
Nobody's in it.
Do you think nobody's in it? But
it's just ceremonial because obviously Superman has an alter ego. So I'm sure the people in Washington know he has an alter ego and that the alter ego is going to be buried wherever it goes. I think it's just an empty casket. It's all ceremonial.
Yeah, maybe. We were watching the movie though. I saw, I leaned over to Josh and I was like, I want that on my casket. That silver Superman symbol. It was
a pretty fancy casket.
It was pretty awesome. But All right. Well, I think we have to call it quits because we're running low on time here.
Yeah, Nora will be home any minute.
Exactly. So, well, I would like to thank my lovely assistant for coming to fill in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I think you're going to be here actually on a regular basis from now on.
Woohoo!
Actually, since someone can't decide to show up. So, too bad. We're just going to move on without you. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions or comments, hit us up at dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. We're also on social media. Look for our Facebook group. We're also on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Slim, SOYM Dayspring12. I had other things to cover today, but I knew we were going to talk about this, so I just said, forget it, and just go past it. I feel like we're going to do a whole episode on this, Captain America Civil War, and X-Men. Because I feel like those are two movies we're going to be able to say a lot about. But until then, guys, go out, see Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. If you haven't, judge it for yourself because that's what really matters, okay? So until then, same bat time, same bat channel.